Doctor segment is all about wrist injuries, and Dr. Michael Smith is an orthopedic surgeon with Southlake Orthopedic Sports Medicine and Spine Center. So we're glad to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so the number, it's open 741-9272, so you can call us with your questions. What are some of the most common cases that you see?
So we see the whole spectrum of cases, but specifically about wrist injuries. You know, the younger kids, especially the athletes, very common for them to fall on their wrist, whether they're playing outside or in a sport. The wrist fracture, the distal radius fracture, is probably the most common thing that we see. That can happen just with a fall on an outstretched hand. It can also happen with a fall from a greater height, or running into someone playing football or soccer. In the elderly people, people that are a little bit older, we see the same type of fracture, but because they're a little bit older, they tend to have a little bit higher comminution, higher fracture pattern that denotes that their wrist is a little bit more injured than the younger kids are.
Okay. Well, and speaking of the younger kids, as parents, is there anything that we can do to help protect our kids? You know, you want to put them in a plastic bubble and protect them from everything. Is there anything we can do to protect them from some of those injuries?
That's a great question. For the kids that are doing some of those activities like roller skating or hockey or bike riding, those wrist guards that you see that have that metal kind of brace there on the wrist, that actually works really well for preventing these types of injuries. Problem is you just can't put them on all the time.
Especially not on my 2-year-old. She runs around everywhere, so
exactly.
You can't do that.
So you can only do so much when it comes to trying to prevent these injuries, but those wrist guards do work great if you know that they're going to be at high risk for this sort of thing, like if they're roller skating or ice skating like that.
We do have a question now, a caller, Glenda from Midfield. Thank you for being with us today.
Yes, I was concerned about my wrist.
Okay, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, they stuck me when they did my surgery. They stuck my heart. They stuck me on my bone, and like they don't want to do the surgery of the bone where they had stuck me on my bones. And I was wondering, what should I do?
That's a great question. To be honest with you, I'm not quite sure I can give you much information, given that anytime you have a procedure, they can often stick different things in different places, whether they're trying to numb up the bone, whether they're trying to numb up the area. Without being able to see more of the information in your injury, it would be hard for me to say. I would probably just talk to your primary care physician and see if they have any recommendations for what you would do next.
Hopefully it's not too painful.
Yeah, no.
Oh. Well, we appreciate that caller, and we also have Diane from Bremen with us now. Diane?
Yes, I am a 63-year-old woman, and I fell and broke my wrist, and they had to put a plate and pins in it, and it's been 1.5 years ago, and I still have pain every once in a while. Is that normal?
Yes, ma'am. So without knowing more specifics with your injury and surgery, it is pretty normal for people to have the occasional ache and pain after they've had surgery. Sometimes, if it becomes a constant ache and pain, we usually recommend that you follow up with your surgeon to see if maybe the hardware is starting to irritate some of the soft tissues near that fracture. But it's not uncommon for some people to have the occasional ache and pain that usually Tylenol or ibuprofen can help with.
Hopefully that she'll be able to get some answers and follow up with her doctor.
Yeah.
All right, next we have Linda in Roebuck. Linda, good afternoon.
Hi.
What is your question?
I broke my wrist in 1998, and they said I had RSV in my wrist, but now, and they set up gangrene poison, and now what's going on is hurt my right arm. Now my wrist and my elbow and my shoulder, all of it is hurt, and I'm trying to find out, is that coming from my injury? Even though it's an old injury.
Right.
So that's a great question. Given that your injury was so long ago, it's unlikely that it's coming from the same initial injury that you had back in 1998. There's always a chance anytime you fall and hurt something that you could have caused some minor injury up the upper extremity that could be starting to become inflamed now. But I imagine this is probably something new and would also be something that you might want to talk to your doctor about.
All right, and our last caller with us today is Diane from Irondale. Good afternoon, Diane. Diane, can you hear us?
Hello, how are you?
Hi, doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
What is your question for our doctor?
My question is, I have a very bad trigger thumb and a carpet tunnel. And I've had surgery on it twice, and I'm 67, so I did hair all my life and was a pharmacy assistant, counting those pills the old-time way, and I guess it could be arthritis. I hate, with all my other medical conditions, I'm afraid to be put under for another surgery.
That is a concern.
Yes, ma'am, and that's a great concern. And without knowing more specifics, trigger thumbs and carpal tunnel syndrome is one of the most common things we see as hand surgeons, and often do very well with surgery. But there are those people that, for one reason or another, might need a revision type of surgery for those conditions. The new movement within hand surgery is to do a lot of those procedures under just local anesthetic.
Okay.
So for people that can't tolerate general anesthesia, you can have some local numbing medication put into the area, and you can have the surgery essentially wide awake. You just don't feel anything because your hand has been numbed up.
And you may not want to watch it.
No, there's definitely a partition there, but people actually tolerate it really well.
Okay, well maybe that's a good option for Diane in Iredale. So we appreciate all of our callers today, and Dr. Smith, we appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Stay with us. JJ's up next with sports.